we have discovered what a system of equations is. It is two or more lines that have the same variables, x and y. And we have discovered what the solution to a system of equations is. It is the point. The ordered pair for the point of the intersection is the solution. So where those two lines cross, that's our solution. Now, in the first example, they gave us two lines, and we were able to graph those and then find where they intersected. This one isn't quite so nice. This example, they do not give us the equations. We kind of have to come up with them on our own. So we have a place called Gregory Motorsports that sells motorcycles and ATVs, okay? And the store has a total of 45 vehicles, and together, all those vehicles have 130 wheels. Now, remember, a system of equations means I have to have at least two equations. So with this information, I have to come up with two equations. So the first equation I can come up with has to do with the number of vehicles. Well, I'm going to let y represent motorcycles. Because at this point is an unknown variable. And I'm going to let x equal the number of ATVs, or four-wheelers. Okay? Now, I know that together, y and x equals 45 vehicles. So one of the first equations I can come up with, I know together, motorcycles and ATVs equal 45 vehicles. Okay, so there's one equation. So that wasn't too bad. Now, the other piece of information I have is that there's 130 wheels. Well, how can I come up with another equation? Well, it's actually going to be similar to this. But I know that each motorcycle, y, has two wheels. So if I take every motorcycle and multiply by it two wheels, and then I take every ATV, or x, and multiply it by its four wheels, if I add those together, I should get to the total number of wheels, which is 130. So now I've got two equations that if I graph on the line, I should be able to see where they intersect. Now, the difficult thing is it's hard to graph these equations. Okay, so it's easier if we can change them into slope-intercept form. Okay, so if let me move this equation. Well, let's not do that. Let me take y plus x equals 45. For a slope-intercept form equation, I want y by itself. So let me just subtract x from both sides, and I have y equals negative x plus 45, which now is in slope-intercept form. We know our slope is -1, and we know our y-intercept is 45. Okay, and then we can go ahead and graph that equation. Now we want to do the same thing for the next equation, 2y plus 4x equals 130. Now that's going to be a little bit more complicated. Okay, so I'm going to move that over here, and we're going to do this one. And let me take the solution that we came up with and put that over here. So here's our original equation here, and here is in slope-intercept form. Okay, now let's do the same thing over here. I've got my equation not in slope-intercept form. I want to get y by itself. So let's start off by subtracting 4x from both sides. Now I have 2y equals negative 4x plus 130. Now the problem with that is I just want y, not 2y. So the solution is to divide everything on each side by 2. So I divide this by 2. I also have to divide the whole side by 2, which means the negative 4x has to be divided by 2 and the 130. And then I end up with y equals negative 2x plus 65, which then again is another equation written in slope-intercept form. And like we discussed in the last problem, there's two ways to graph it. You can plot the y-intercept and then use the slope to determine the next point, or you can create an in and out table where you plug values in for x and get the corresponding y value out. Well, this graph was done for us, as we can see. One line was graphed, and then the other was graphed, and then they intersected at a certain point. And if we look closely, all right, we have the point 2025. So the solution to this equation is the point 2025. Now that's all well and good, unless someone comes along and says, well, what does that mean? What does the point 2025 mean? Well, remember, in a coordinate pair, the first number is the x, and the first number is y. Now let's go back to the beginning. The x was the ATVs, and the y was the motorcycles. So the x coordinate of 20 means that I had 20 ATVs, and the y coordinate of 25 means I had 25 motorcycles. So the solution to this equation is 2025, which means Gregory's Motorsports had 20 ATVs and 25 motorcycles. Let's go ahead and see if you guys can handle that on your own and try the got it problem at the bottom of 235. Got it, the bottom of 235.